This is the Thoughtful Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Kendall of the notaballerina.com travel blog. Every episode I'll share travel tales from several fellow travel lovers, and together we hope to entertain and inspire you, remind you of some of your own great travel experiences, and encourage you to hit the road again soon. Hello and welcome to episode 211 of the Thoughtful Travel Podcast. It's another special episode. It's about visiting Cervantes in Western Australia because that's what I've just done along with my 10-year-old son Ruben. We have, it's such a funny year, isn't it? So I've mentioned before here in Western Australia, we have basically no COVID, but we can't leave the state. So we've been trapped, but exploring more things closer to home, which has been, quite a blessing in some ways. And this time around, also thanks to COVID actually, in some ways, I have had the busiest year with all of the different kinds of work that I do. I freaked out a little bit in March when COVID struck and I had lots of work cancelled and turned around and said yes to lots of other kinds of work. Then, of course, COVID didn't happen so badly here, so a lot of my other work came back online. Basically, I have been working almost non-stop for months, and I knew a couple of months back, I knew that around this week, things should start to ease up a bit. They have. I'm a little bit less flat out, and so I'd booked this trip. And it's rare for me to book a trip for kind of a relaxation reason. I am not a kind of fly and flop holiday maker. I am not the kind who takes off to Bali just to sit by the pool. I love a poolside cocktail, but that's for me not all that travel can be. But I did know that I would really need a break, and there's nothing like getting out of your hometown to have a proper break, especially in a year like this when I haven't had the chance to do much traveling at all. So, again, the criteria were not very fancy. Had to be relatively close because we only had 4 days to do it. And I guess importantly for me, I needed it to be a compromise between relaxation and exploration. I can't just go and sit by a pool for 4 days. It probably sounds delightful to some, but even in terms of relaxing, that's not really how I do it. I need to have, a few other things going on. I mean, I can read a book, or I was actually writing a fair bit while I was on this trip as well, but also needed to be able to, go around and see some stuff. You will hear in our conversations in a minute the kinds of things that we went to explore. I always need to be kind of scratching the itch of curiosity. I have endless curiosity. I think I have also managed to bring up my son to have maybe almost too much endless curiosity. It kind of drives me nuts at times. And the other thing is that I guess my version of relaxation is what I also like to think of as slow travel. So staying in one spot for a few days or weeks or months, whatever the case, but, really focusing on one area. And so that's what we did on this trip. So without further ado, here's Ruben and I. We recorded twice over the trip, and this is from covering the first couple of days of our time in Cervantes. Okay, so let's chat about our first 2 days in Cervantes up here. Do you remember how we started on day one?
A long drive.
You're not big on long drives, are you?
No, I'm not.
It's funny. I can put you in an aeroplane for all the way to Europe and you're fine, but a 2-hour drive you decide is very long.
Yeah.
You're crazy. Now, did we see anything notable on that drive?
Yes, we saw 2 emus.
That was pretty exciting because it's quite rare for us to see them in the wild, and I was just telling you about how I'd seen them in around that spot about a decade earlier. And and then there they were, 2 of them running by. So that was pretty cool. And we learnt through that discussion that emus live for 30 years.
Yes.
On average. So there you go. And then we reached Cervantes after a 2-hour drive north of Perth up the coast. And once we got here, what did we do?
The first thing we did was check into the Pinnacles Edge Resort.
Yes. It's pretty nice, actually.
Yes, it is.
And we got a room with a spa because we thought we would be able to relax a bit, and that was the first thing we did. And then we did go outside, and it was early evening, and we took a walk.
We walked about 900 meters or so down to the beach.
Yeah. So that was quite a nice walk, and we were noting along the way some of the street names, weren't we?
Yes.
So can you remember some of the names we found?
We found Barcelona Street, Iberia Street, and quite a few other Spanish city names.
Yes. So that was intriguing, wasn't it? And we did go back and Google and find out a bit more about that because, we needed to, didn't we? It was interesting. We felt like we were on tour in Spain. Oh, there was Malaga as well, remember?
Yeah.
And it turns out the quick story is Cervantes itself was named after an American ship named Cervantes. That kind of happened 100 years before the town was actually formed, because originally Cervantes was the name of a little island off the shore. And then so by the time the town was actually built, which is only like in the 60s, I think what happened was the people had forgotten why it was named Cervantes. People thought it was named after Cervantes, the Spanish Don Quixote author. So they decided to name all the streets, or many of the streets, after Spanish cities. So it feels a little bit like we're on tour in Europe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that was fun. And so that was pretty much the end of day one. All right, so day 2 in Cervantes. How did we start our day? After a bit of a relaxing, slow start, I must admit. What was the first thing we did?
So the first thing we did was go to the visitor centre just outside of the hotel.
Yes, it's just a bit of a walk down the road, isn't it? Maybe a 2-minute walk. And I collected some tourist brochures because I love doing that. And you found me some postcards.
Yes, I did.
So they'll be winging their way to some of my postcard friends soon. And what else did we do there? Oh, we went to the general store. I love a town that has a general store. It sounds
A big sign that says general store.
Yes, I know. It's just so much nicer than supermarket or something, isn't it? Actually, on that general store, remember we saw the night before, or saw last night, the mural painted on the side of it, which was pretty cool. We saw the mural that had fishing boats kind of over the ages, like a kind of a history of Cervantes and fishing in a sense, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
It was pretty cool. Okay, so we then came back, chilled out for a bit, and then went on our big adventure today, which was to...
The Pinnacles.
Yes, and the Pinnacles are, excuse the pun, the pinnacle of a trip to Cervantes. So, Ruben, can you explain what you think the Pinnacles are?
The Pinnacles are like rocks in the ground that over time the sand eroded, and that was left with the giant stone pillars sticking out of the ground in weird, odd shapes.
That's an excellent description. I agree. That's exactly what they look like. And they're kind of limestone, made of limestone, I think, or limestone looking for sure.
Limestone.
Yeah, sorry, I can't be more scientific. And they're in a bit of a desert of yellow sand.
Yeah, just like it's only the pinnacle bits where the desert is, then it's just bush all around.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, isn't it? You just drive up and then suddenly there's all this vast kind of yellow sand desert with these crazy rock formations sticking out of it. It's very unique.
Yeah, it is.
So we enjoyed that. What did we do there?
First we visited the Pinnacles Desert Discovery Centre.
That's right. So that's like the kind of a visitor centre with some displays about the animals and vegetation around, and interestingly some information about how the pinnacles were made, but they don't really know exactly, do they?
No, they don't.
I was surprised by that. So it seems that there just hasn't been enough research yet for them to conclude exactly how that had all come to be, which is interesting because I always think, everything's already been discovered, but apparently not. So perhaps it's because we're far away from everywhere, or that they're particularly unique that no one really knows yet. And so what did we do after the centre there?
Then we went for a quick walk in the Pinnacles Desert.
And then we actually decided to come back and do the car loop, didn't we?
Yeah.
Mostly because we weren't very good at following the walking markers.
Yeah.
We'd gone completely the wrong way. And, whoops. And so we came back and got the car because it's a funny arrangement. You can actually drive your car on this quite big loop through the Pinnacles Desert, and you can stop off along the way and get out and take pictures. So you can actually walk like right up to the Pinnacles. themselves. Of course, they say don't touch them. Hopefully, most people abide by that. Certainly, we didn't see anyone misbehaving today, but did we see many people?
Nope.
Maybe 5 or 6 cars?
Yeah.
Maybe the whole time we were in there. It was pretty quiet, but it's a Friday afternoon. Perhaps it's busier on the weekend. So.
Yeah.
And what was your impression of the Pinnacles Desert when we were up close?
They were really amazing.
We took lots of photos, didn't we?
Yeah.
Although we didn't get to the stage where you told me off for taking too many photos, so...
Nope.
So that's something. Yeah, but it's a pretty unique and special site. So I think it's the 3rd time I've been up here, but it's more than 10 years since I was last here. And so it always feels a bit like the first time because it's really a special place. Any other impressions from day 2?
On the way back, we stopped at a beach that was supposed to be amazing, but it really wasn't. It started off badly because there was just a little limestone track down with bushes either side, and there were 3 webs with a massive spider on each. So, yeah, I sprinted through there, literally.
Yes, you went very fast.
Then, when we got down to the beach, the sand was pretty white, but then it was filled with weeds and...
Yeah, it was very seaweedy and... Yeah, not spectacular like I'd kind of imagined it might be.
Yeah.
So, but the spiders really put you off, right?
Really did. On the way back to the car, as you can probably guess, I sprinted back.
Yes, I think even faster past those spiders the second time. Luckily, none of them jumped out to grab you. Otherwise, you would never speak to me again.
Yeah.
So we came back to where we're staying. We fired up the barbecue. I cooked garlic bread on the barbecue because I thought there would be an oven in this place, and there wasn't. There's just a barbecue. So I've learnt a lot about barbecuing. I barbecued pizza last night, didn't I?
Yep.
So I'm getting quite adept at that. And now we are recording this part of the podcast under the doona on the bed, right?
Yes.
So hopefully the doona makes the sound pretty clear.
Yeah.
All right. So signing off from day 2, and we'll report back in tomorrow to see what we've done next.
Yes.
So on to day 3 and 4 of our Cervantes trip. We're now back in Perth, so we're not huddled under a doona, which is good because summer seems to have struck and it would be quite warm under a doona, don't you think, Ruben? So let's go back to yesterday. And yesterday morning we got up and the first thing we did was head off to Lake Thetis, and which is just like, I think maybe just 2 k's from Cervantes, the town, maybe less. It's just on the road out to the highway. And it is home to what?
Stromatolites.
Yes, and stromatolites are...
Well, they're basically rocks that are living and thousands of years old.
Yes, so these ones I think were 3,500 years old.
Something like that.
And I think they have like ancestors up in the, I want to say Pilbara, but somewhere in the north of Western Australia that they say they have dated to be billions of years old, which is amazing. So we had a look at that. We went for a bit of a walk there, but the path got narrow and a local guy did warn us that there were snakes about. So we turned around.
Yeah.
Also, what else was there apart from, well, we didn't see any snakes. There was something that was quite annoying.
Flies. Like this one in the room right now.
I know. I wonder if anyone can hear on our recording this fly that's buzzing around. But that's Australia in summertime, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you can hear a fly, it's just the Australian ambience. And it's a good sound effect for what we discovered in Cervantes was a lot of flies, hey?
Yeah.
Well, he is pretty noisy. Okay, so we came back from Lake Thetis and we had a bit of a relaxing time, which is nice sometimes, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And we both had a spa because we could. And what do we do next?
First, we played Cluedo and I thrashed you.
Thank you. That wasn't on the script. Yes, you did win again. I'm sure it's just luck. And,
Yeah, definitely.
And then?
And then we went down to the pool.
Yeah, so this was our first trip to the pool. We had saved it for our last full day because the air temperature was the highest. The forecast temperature was 32 or 33. But the water temperature, well, it's early in the summer season. Ruben, how would you describe the water temperature?
Freezing.
Yeah, I only got my legs in, but you jumped in, I don't know, half a dozen times or more.
Yeah.
And by the end of that, you were kind of shaking and blue-lipped.
Yeah.
Was it fun though?
Kind of.
I know, you torture yourself by just insisting on swimming. So we did that, and then we wandered down the road for a classic seafood meal, I suppose, a classic Aussie meal, which was...
Fish and chips.
Yeah, so that was an actually really delicious lot of fish and chips.
Yeah.
We ate it on the balcony and watched life finish for another day in Cervantes. I was going to say sunset, but we're a bit early for sunset, I think.
Yeah.
On our fish and chips meal. And as with every fish and chips shop in Australia, what we got was much too much, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You went to bed with a stomachache from eating too much, I think. All right. And so our final day in Cervantes was really just the morning. We got up, packed up, we left. And then what happened?
About 20 minutes outside of Cervantes, we realised that we forgot this microphone that we're talking on right now.
Yes, quite an important thing. Along with my camera, we had managed to leave in our apartment on our rush to leave.
Yeah.
So we turned around, went back, found them, set off again, and enjoyed the drive home. There's a spectacular part of the drive that we didn't mention before. The vast white sand dunes.
Yeah.
They look amazing, hey?
Yeah, they were huge.
Yeah, they're really spectacular. They're hard to photograph, though, because you're on the highway, but they're pretty cool. And so that was the end of our Cervantes vacation, wasn't it?
Yes.
Back into Perth in time for soccer. Mm-hmm. This was special soccer, parents versus kids.
Yes, where we thrashed you.
Yeah, there's a lot of this. I keep losing. The most annoying part is that you are now of the age where I don't try to lose, ever. And I keep losing things.
Yeah.
I think I have to start playing different games. Anyway, did you have a good trip to Cervantes?
Yes, I did.
Me too. It was great to get away and great to see something new.
So that sums up completely our fabulous getaway to Cervantes here in Western Australia. It's been a funny old year to be able to explore these places, but I'm really glad to have the excuse to take my son to see some of these places that I've been to before, but he hasn't had the privilege of yet. So that is a real bonus. I would love to say I came back fully refreshed, but I came back to quite a big pile of work. So anyway, we're marching on to the end of the year. I'll have a break then. So yeah, that's life, isn't it? It's good to be busy, I think. So thank you so much for listening to episode 211 of the Thoughtful Travel podcast. Don't forget to check out the Facebook group for Thoughtful Travellers. There's a link in the show notes. I'm also going to put some photos from our Cervantes trip in the show notes. For this episode, they will be at notaballerina.com/211. And speaking of Australia, if you're listening to this fairly much as it goes to air in October 2020, then do come into the Facebook group to make sure you are part of our Thoughtful Travellers book club, because this month we are discussing Bill Bryson's book Down Under, which is actually 20 years old now, but still just as hilarious and fascinating as when it first came out. It's just such an interesting foreigner's take on discovering Australia. And I'm just finishing off reading it, and I often find myself chuckling away as I read his descriptions of crazy things like, playing cricket, or of our dangerous animals and stuff like that. It's just such a joy to read. So anyway, that's it for this episode. If you hang around till after the credits, you might find that there are some bloopers from my recording session with my son, because we actually have quite a lot of fun doing it, especially tucked away under a doona. People would think we're crazy if they could see us, but, anything for some decent sound quality. So as always, thank you very much for listening. This has been another episode of the Thoughtful Travel podcast. Show notes and other information are at notaballerina.com/podcast. Join me again soon for another chat about why we travel. Bye for now. Can you read the notes down there?
Nope.
Oh, checked in.
We walked about 100 meters. No.
Can you
Yes.
remember what was in the mural?
No.
That makes for great radio.
Then we walked just down the garlic bread.
I don't want to say that, it's embarrassing.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Hang on. I know, I just got to press stop. Hang on. Here, look, I'll hold it up and you press stop.
Where's the stop button?
The square one.
Cut.
Cut. Awesome.